First, to all the people from Deschutes County who traveled here with Bill and helped set everything up. All right. I'd like to thank Jackson County's Lori Brooks and Douglas County's Kelly Wine for trying to organize a bus to come through here. It kind of fell through. We didn't get enough riders, but the work and hours they put into that have not gone unnoticed. Thank you, ladies. From Josephine County, I'd like to thank Karen Darnell of Cave Junction for creating and maintaining the private ODF Fire Support Facebook page that has quickly gained more than 6,000 members in a very short time. And also from Josephine County, my friends Winnie and Mike Pelfrey, Robert Henderson, who did the invocation. Holly Morton's here with us today, is chair of the Josephine County GOP, who has made sure that our Central Committee took a proactive and leadership approach to providing assistance to the residents in our county and throughout the state. Thank you, Holly. To the Josephine County Central Committee members and Central Committee, who has been working tirelessly helping thousands of Oregonians with their appeals via several fire BAP meetings and events throughout our county, and supporting people of all political parties through this difficult time. A big shout out to those I've seen preparing for and helping with appeals at practically every fire map event that I've been helping at. Former County Commissioner John West, former Senator County Commissioner Herman Bertriger, PCP Kelly Dominguez, PCP Kathy Millard, and the people helping with appeals today. Thank you. This fire map issue has severely impacted countless residents in more ways than one, and many whose financial impact is much worse than others. We have heard some people are impacted more than $1,000 a month financially by this map already, while the fire map makers say that the insurance company cannot raise your insurance rates. Well, guess what, fire map people? The insurance companies raised our rates. And the question now is, who is responsible for this? And what are you going to do to help with the damage that has been caused? Senate Bill 762 has definitely awakened the people into action. Voters will not forget the names associated with this fire map. Voters will not forget the Senate Bill 762 politicians who sponsored this bill that attacked our livelihoods and homes. We are watching what else you are doing now, and we're watching closely what you'll do from here on out. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican when people's homes are being attacked. When push comes to shove, neighbors will help each other from a government overreach in their neighborhoods. Our first speaker is a resident who took it upon himself a few years ago when this fire map bill was first introduced and passed to warn us and help educate us on what it meant. Ron Smith of Josephine County rented the fairgrounds several times, hosting fire map meetings as far back as 2022. This is where I first became a friend and supporter. This man sprung me into action and encouraged me to submit an appeal back then in 2022. He took time to educate local residents and countless Oregonians on this fire map issue specifically. Ron not only held educational meetings at his own expense back then, he also created a website called Undo 762, a public resource that has been recently reignited and can be found at undo762.org. This website continues to help and assist Oregonians today. Help me in welcoming to the microphone our first speaker and our recently elected Josephine County Commissioner, Ron Smith.
Undo 762. Plato said, the price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. We have arrived. We have to stay engaged. This is not the only issue. There's many more coming. Where's Jeff Golden? Where's Pam Marsh? Come talk to us. Are you going to undo the damage you've done to our insurance rates, to the value of our home? The minute they put your home on that map, they devalued your property. Who's going to take care of that problem? Remember this next time you vote. Vote for people who honor property rights. Without property rights, you have no rights. In the Declaration of Independence, it says the whole reason we established governments in the first place is to protect life, liberty, and in the original document it said property. That's the reason we have government. Is this government here doing that? No. Remember that when you vote. Remember that when you vote. We've got to get rid of vote by mail. We have not had a conservative government since we had vote by mail.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence. There's many more issues coming down the pipe. And remember, your indifference to public affairs is what gives rise to evil men running the show. I'm so proud of you patriots to be here. I'm so proud that you're standing up as true Americans. It's time we fight. Our country's in peril. We're being overrun by socialism. And if you want to call it by its real name, communism. These legislatures here, they're your employees. Go talk to them. Write them letters. Bring their phone off the hook. Especially Jeff Golden and Pam Marsh. Melt down his computer with emails. Call him. Write letters. File your appeal. On Undo 762, there's everything you need to understand this. Everything you need is on that website. That website can go all over the state. We can't always be where we need to be, but that website can be in everybody's home. Really, promote that website. It is a tool to be used by you all. I'll tell you something. I started this when I first seen this IP88, before this 762 was even a law. I read that and I knew right away it was an attack on our property rights. It is an attack on property rights. It's not about property. Give us the money. Give the counties the money that you're going to spend on this thing. We can take care of this locally. We don't need to have Salem tell us how to clean up our act in Josephine County or any other county.
That's right.
Send some of that hundreds of millions of dollars you plan on running down to these green groups. Give it to the counties. We can take our fire districts and we put our fire districts to work on our problem. They'd be more than happy to have this money. When I saw this issue to begin with, I started organizing a meeting. And lo and behold, a gentleman called me. He says, I'd like to get involved with you. I'd like to help you with this meeting. And for now, almost 4 years, we've been working side by side to make this thing go away. We've had some victories. I think the map is going to disappear, but the legislation is not going away. But I have a friend in Bob Hart who came and called me and reached out to me. A former planner, now private land use consultant. This gentleman tore this law apart. He put a PowerPoint presentation together that you'll understand everything about this. And I'm not going to speak anymore. I'm going to give this mic over to him because I think he's a great patriot. Bob, come on out. He's an expert at tearing these laws apart. This is my buddy and friend, Bob Hart.
Thank you all for being here. And that's exactly how it happened. Ron took the start to try and stop this that's affecting all of us. And I saw how ineffective this would be and said, Ron, can I help? He says, yeah, let's take a look at it. As a planner, I started out working for Josephine County for 20 years. And at that point, I wasn't helping anybody. the government wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, is protect property rights and show people how they could get accomplished what they needed to. That's why I went out on my own to be a land use consultant and help people get through the process. So I've dealt with laws for the last almost 50 years. And laws can be helpful or they can be punitive, like this one here. It needs to be stopped right now. You know, I feel like I'm going to be preaching to the choir to try and give some background, but that's what we've done, is educate people on what this has been doing, how did it come to be, and where do we go from here. I've talked to Jeff Golden on numerous occasions, and what he told me was, this is in response to the 2020 fires that happened. The one in Sandy Am, the one in Alameda. But it's not that, because nothing in this bill would have done anything to stop those fires. The one in Alameda, Southern Oregon, Phoenix, and Gallup, lost 600. Sandy Am, lightning fires. And those lightning fires, they let burn for weeks because they said that they were no big thing. We'll let them burn out. And what happened was just like what's happening here, the wind came up and those three small fires merged and they burnt over 400,000 acres because they were too set in their ways to not put it out when it started. They lost over 1,500 houses in those fires. Like I said, nothing in this bill would have stopped or helped any of that. How this bill came about was one of those things where it was an insidious start. You look at the original Bill 762, it was a half a page. It says, we're going to do a study on fire. And then it sat in the background for weeks. And then it came about just before it went to committee that an amendment was offered, and it jumped to 26 pages, and it had all of the things in it now. They pull those kind of games to try and keep you in the dark until the very last minute, hoping you will ignore what happened. And that's what happened here. Nobody knew about what was going on until they got the letter in 2022. Over 100,000 letters were sent out telling people you are now in high and extreme risk. People were getting their insurance canceled. The rates went up dramatically. I've known real estate people that said they couldn't get binders and sales dropped crazily. There was nothing anybody could do. Once the letters went out, it said we'll hold some hearings because the bill did say we will have public hearings about it. The first one was scheduled in Josephine County. Thank you, people of Josephine County. Because at that point, when they announced that they were going to have the meetings and people were so impacted dramatically, State Forestry said, we're not going to come down. We've been having threats to our lives and we don't feel safe to come talk to the people. Then they said, well, the meeting that we were going to schedule in Jackson County, we'll turn it to a Zoom meeting. This was in 2022, right after COVID, so there wasn't a lot of public input. The Capitol was closed. We couldn't go talk to the legislators. So they had this Zoom meeting. There was over 2,000 people on that one Zoom call. And another 2,000 wrote in letters afterwards. In 6 weeks, they withdrew the map. And that's due to the input of all you people that stood up against what's going on. I sat down with Golden at that time and said, what you need to do, because everybody's concerned with fire, is you need to turn this into an incentive type program. Like when you put solar panels on your house, you get a tax credit. But they would rather do it with the carrot and the stick, only there's no carrot, there's just a stick. Telling you what you have to do as a mandate.
Dictators.
They had a chance again because they withdrew the map that will reissue it and start again. They passed Senate Bill 80 in the 2023 legislative session. This was supposed to be course correction. There was no course correction with SB 80. All it did was change the risk map to a hazard map. And they combined a couple of the classifications. The high and extreme were combined into one, but it still had the same impact. Then they changed how people would appeal. They changed it to a contested case and said if your property was in a trust, you have to have an attorney. They've turned it into a very bureaucratic system to try and discourage people from appealing. And they said, well, you can only appeal small little portions of it. Don't live inside the little box that they drew for you. Tell them exactly what's happening to you and why. What have they done wrong with this whole thing? There was no robust community involvement, as the law says. It says you're supposed to contact and work with the people. The only thing they did was they had 6 open houses throughout the state. And they didn't even have tax lots at that point. They just had blobs saying, trust us, we're going to be fine. We fixed everything.
Fire them all! Get rid of them! Have our interests at heart.
Yeah, I think we need a letter from Elon saying, show us what you've done positively to help people. And if you can't write that letter, then you need to resign or be fired. It's real easy to be critical because we can see how bad this legislation was from the beginning. But what we need to do at this point is say, what can we do that is beneficial for us? There are a couple of parts of the bill that I'd like to keep, but most of it thrown out. But what I would really like to do is repeal all of 76 or 762, and the good parts, put those together in individual bills, take them on one at a time so we can see exactly what it is. The first thing that needed to be done was to put more remote sensing out in the forest to see when those fires start so we can get after them. That's one of the things that we were lacking, and that needs to be done. I remember when we first moved here back in the 70s, we used to go out into the woods and cut firewood. When was that stopped? Probably around the time of the spotted owl. That's when they pulled people out of the forest. When you don't have forest crews going in there and logging and managing the forest, you get what we have now. Overgrown forests that when they start fires, they don't have the resources to stop them. They've taken the roads out of commission that used to have log trucks that we could get fire equipment in there. It makes it to where we can't manage our forests and we can't stop the fires. Some of that money that should have gone to, other than the map, should have been put into new equipment. They have given 76 new trucks to fire districts around the state. We need a lot more, because we can have a better response if we have the resources out there now. I think the biggest problem that we have is our federal forests. We need to stop what we've been doing, because when you start to look at the numbers, which I do, 83% of the acres burned over the last 10 years were all on federal forest land. Why are you picking on property owners when the biggest problem is the mismanaged forests? I think we all have come to realize that this can be done better. It can be focused on some things that are positive and not doing the negative that's been done to us for right now. I would like everybody to keep up the pressure, because I have not seen anything in writing yet that does what they have told us they're going to do. They say, the map isn't working, we're going to withdraw it. Prove it. Do it now. Have a bill that's on the desk of the governor to sign this week.
That's right. Yeah.
Because talk is cheap. They can tell us anything, but without the facts to back it up, it doesn't do any good. So keep the pressure on, file your appeals. We need to undo 762. Thank you.